Humanity's presence in the Galactic Council chamber was almost always an afterthought, a quiet shape tucked into the corner while the old powers argued about borders and trade lanes. Today was no different. The major species filled the tiered hall with layered murmurs, bioluminescent eyes flickering, mandibles scraping, tendrils twitching in irritation. All of them were united by a single comfortable belief: humans were weak. It wasn't debated, wasn't questioned, wasn't even worth discussing. It was a universal truth the galaxy had accepted long before Earth attended its first meeting. Humans were small, biologically fragile, short-lived, and dangerously emotional by alien standards. The Council had categorized them as low tier, useful for labor contracts, minor scientific collaboration, but nothing that would ever influence galactic politics. The Zaltor Dominion led that sentiment. Their ambassador, Karthaz, towered 3 meters tall, armored in natural plating that glimmered under the chamber's white lights. When he rose, the hall quieted. When he spoke, every species listened. He enjoyed that power, and he used it as a weapon. His gaze drifted toward the human diplomat, lingering with the same disdain one might reserve for an insect accidentally tracked indoors. Then he announced an expansion initiative near neutral zones, territory uncomfortably close to Earth's exploratory borders. The Council responded with nods and chittering approval. Humans lacked the strength, they reasoned, to object or defend it. Karthaz leaned forward, mandibles spreading in a display of amusement, and let his voice echo through the chamber. The bipedal primitives have made noise about our border growth. Their fear is understandable. Their weakness is genetic. Their emotions cloud logic. A species that cries during celebrations cannot lead anything but its own downfall. Laughter rippled through the chamber, a disturbing blend of chirps, warbles, and metallic clicks. Some species drummed their limbs in approval. Others whispered about humanity's inevitable collapse, claiming humans simply lacked the evolutionary stability to survive in a galaxy built on domination. The human diplomat, Elias Ward, remained perfectly still. No frown. No flinch. No visible reaction at all. That stillness unsettled only a few observant beings, but their concerns drowned beneath the overwhelming mockery. The Council chair, a shimmering avian form with wings folded tight, called for order but didn't reprimand Karthaz. Instead, the chair offered a patronizing reassurance: Earth would adjust. Humanity always adjusted. They believed humans bent under pressure because they assumed humanity's adaptation was a sign of fear rather than survival instinct. That misinterpretation was a collective failure spanning centuries of alien psychological analysis. Humanity's silence in the chamber only reinforced their assumptions. Ward finally stood, his voice calm and soft enough that several species leaned forward to hear him. He didn't return the insults. He didn't challenge the expansion decree. He simply said, Earth acknowledges the Council's decision. The words were diplomatic, unprovocative, and seemingly submissive. Aliens mistook the calm for capitulation. They didn't see how controlled his breathing was, how measured each word became. They didn't understand that human restraint was not weakness, but a warning delivered quietly so the galaxy would see it too late. As the meeting continued, the Council shifted to resource allocations, and humanity disappeared again into the background noise. Discussions of warplane maintenance, mineral rights, and trade tariffs took priority. The aliens' confidence in their assessment of humanity only deepened. They interpreted peaceful cooperation as proof of inferiority and dismissed human achievements as lucky accidents. Even references to Terran's scientific leaps were minimized in translated Council records. Some species argued humans simply reverse-engineered abandoned technologies. Others insisted humans exaggerated their capabilities for diplomatic leverage. Outside the chamber, the galaxy operated under the same illusions. Traders joked about frail Terran bodies. Military strategists excluded humans from conflict projections entirely. No one questioned the belief system that had become foundational. Humans lacked the biological, technological, and psychological advantages required to shape galactic power. The very idea of Earth posing a threat seemed laughable. But beneath that polished perception, humanity had been watching. The council debates were recorded, analyzed, and dissected by Terran intelligence. Carthag's insults, the laughter, the dismissive reports, all of it flowed back to Earth's most restricted strategic networks. Patterns emerged. Threat assessments changed. Quiet preparations intensified. Humanity had learned long ago that being underestimated was the most valuable camouflage in the universe. Ward returned to his seat, hands folded, expression unreadable. The aliens didn't notice the subtle shift in his posture, the faint tension running through his shoulders. They didn't recognize what that meant. They couldn't. Not yet. But soon, their certainty would fracture. Their confidence would erode. And the galaxy would come to understand a truth humanity had carried from its earliest civilizations. Being called weak is only ever a mistake when the one speaking has forgotten to look deeper. The Zalt or Dominions, border expansion, moved from council paperwork to military action with unsettling speed. Their ships entered the neutral sectors near Terran space under the pretense of routine patrols. But the formation they deployed told a different story. It was a battle line, not a diplomatic escort. Their commanders believed humans would panic, or beg the council for intervention. Instead, Earth monitored the encroachment in complete silence. That silence irritated the Dominion more than any formal protest would have. They interpreted it as fear, ignorance, or perhaps the typical human hesitation they had mocked for decades. The Dominion pushed further, and soon a Terran research outpost, small, lightly staffed, and dedicated to deep space biological surveys, appeared on their scanners. Its presence gave the commanders an opportunity they welcomed. They approached without announcing themselves, locked weapons, and erased the station with a single neutron burst. Dozens of civilians died instantly. Surveillance drones captured the destruction, their transmissions reaching Earth minutes later. The Dominion reported the incident to the Council as an unfortunate collision. A malfunction. A navigational oversight. They sent condolences for the misplaced settlement, implying the outpost had been built illegally. The Council barely deliberated before accepting the explanation. Most representatives believed humans should be grateful the Dominion even acknowledged the event. Some suggested Terran construction crews needed better training. Others implied humans were exaggerating the loss for political leverage. When the Council session convened, Elias Ward stood before the assembled species and delivered the Terran report. He outlined the evidence, detailed the attack, and played the final transmission sent by the outpost's lead scientist. Many in the chamber watched the recording with detached curiosity, more interested in the technical specs of the Terran equipment than the human lives lost. When Ward finished, Carthage responded with a dismissive wave of his claw and declared that such incidents were inevitable when dangerous primitives explore areas beyond their comprehension. The chamber echoed with muttered agreement. Some species offered superficial sympathy, but none proposed consequences. None demanded accountability. Ward's expression didn't shift. He simply responded with one calm sentence. "You attacked the wrong species." The words unsettled the chamber for a heartbeat, but the moment passed quickly. The aliens convinced themselves it was a human attempt at bravado. They resumed their negotiations. They believed the matter resolved. They believed humans lacked the capability or will to retaliate. They believed a great many things, and they were wrong on every count. Earth's intelligence agencies intercepted encrypted Dominion communications that revealed the truth. The attack on the outpost was a test. The Dominion intended to push further, assessing humanity's response. Their next move would be a full strategic incursion disguised as a prolonged border patrol. They planned to pressure humans into relinquishing nearby sectors entirely. Terran High Command convened within hours. The meeting was cold, clinical, and decisive. They did not discuss appeasement. They did not ask for council approval. They activated a protocol that had existed long before humanity joined the Galactic Council, an initiative built on the assumption that one day, a powerful species would mistake human cooperation for weakness. This protocol was not a retaliatory program. It was a containment strategy, honed over decades, designed to end conflicts swiftly without escalating into galactic war. It mobilized fleets the Council had never seen, divisions never publicly acknowledged, and technologies humans had deliberately kept out of diplomatic view. The galaxy believed humanity shared everything they invented. The truth was far more calculated. Terran Command authorized a controlled demonstration. The objective was not conquest. It was clarity. The Dominion needed to understand that their assumption of human fragility was a miscalculation with consequences. The Council needed to witness a response that left no ambiguity. When orders deployed, fleets awakened from deep silence. Dreadnoughts hidden in asteroid belts powered up reactors. Covert battle groups redirected from dark space patrols to classified formation points. Even Earth's political leadership stepped aside, allowing military doctrine to proceed without bureaucratic delay. Humanity's peaceful reputation had allowed them to build strength unnoticed. Now that strength would surface. Across the galaxy, alien strategists remained certain humans were incapable of coordinated retaliation. Their simulations showed Terran vessels as outdated, underpowered, and tactically rigid. Their predictions would evaporate the moment the first Terran battle group folded into real space. But for now the galaxy still slept comfortably in its illusions. Ward left the council chamber after delivering his final warning, walking with measured, composed steps. He knew the council would dismiss his words. He knew they believed humans were bluffing. Their confidence was predictable, almost mechanical. They didn't realize they had crossed the last line humanity ever allowed to be crossed. Earth didn't raise its voice. It prepared to raise its hand. The Zaltor Dominion's fleet advanced toward Terran space expecting a symbolic show of resistance at best. Their commanders predicted a few outdated human ships scrambling to form a defensive line, maybe a panicked broadcast requesting council intervention. What they encountered instead began with silence, an empty region of space where Terran patrol vessels should have been. The Dominion interpreted the absence as fear. They moved deeper, confident the humans had retreated. Then the distortion appeared. A ripple of gravity trembled across the void, subtle enough that most alien sensors dismissed it as spatial interference. But their capital ship detected a fluctuation too precise to be natural, a controlled fold signature. Before the Dominion fleet could adjust, the dark between the stars split cleanly open, and a Terran dreadnought emerged. It was unlike anything in the Council's archives. No spires, no ornate plating, no ceremonial fins. Human engineers favored brutal efficiency. The hull looked like a slab of forged thunderhead metal, armored in overlapping segments designed to absorb impacts rather than deflect them. It carried no glowing banners or species emblems, only a single identifier burned into its plating, TDS Vengeance. The Dominion's flagship held it with arrogance, demanding identification and intent. The Terran ship didn't answer. Its silence was a message in itself. The Dominion ordered a weapons lock, confident the lone vessel posed no threat to an entire battle group. Their targeting arrays flickered then froze. None of them realized the dreadnought had already infiltrated their systems. Human cyber warfare wasn't flashy. It didn't broadcast itself. It slipped into networks through passive signals, hiding inside system maintenance packets, rewriting enemy code in microsecond intervals. Dominion officers attempted to reset their targeting modules, only to watch their screens dissolve into static. Panic rose on the bridge. Then the dreadnought fired one shot. It wasn't a beam or a missile. It was a kinetic slug accelerated to a velocity no alien navy believed possible. The slug tore through the Dominion's forward cruiser, punched straight through a second ship, and shattered a third before vaporizing against the void. 3 vessels, erased by a single round. The battle group recoiled in collective disbelief. Terran Command had deployed more than firepower, they deployed doctrine. Humans didn't fight with flamboyant displays. They used precision, adaptability, and overwhelming intent. The Dominion fired back with plasma artillery and neutron pulses, but their salvos dispersed before reaching the target. The dreadnought's point defense system intercepted every fragment with impossible timing. Alien strategists had long labeled human Neuralink targeting as unstable. They'd never imagined it perfected. The Dominion attempted to regroup, but a second ripple of gravity signaled reinforcements. 2 more Terran battlegroups unfolded into real space, sleek cruisers, stealth frigates, and destroyers that flew in formations too tight for alien ships to replicate safely. Their engines burned cold blue, silent and steady. No war cries, no threat broadcasts. They advanced with the calm efficiency of surgeons approaching an operating table. The Dominion finally understood something was wrong. Very wrong. Their communications lit with frantic reports, propulsion glitches, shield collapses, unexplained power drains. Terran ships exploited every microsecond. Human pilots maneuvered in ways alien simulations had dismissed as suicidal, weaving between ship formations, targeting structural weak points instead of shields. Each strike disabled rather than annihilated. Humanity wasn't demonstrating brutality, they were demonstrating control. A Dominion destroyer attempted to ram a Terran cruiser in desperation. Before impact, the human vessel pivoted with surgical grace, clipped the destroyer's bow, and sent it spiraling intact but powerless. Dominion officers stared at their failing systems in horror. None of them had believed humans capable of such mastery. Messages streamed from the collapsing formation, broken, terrified, incredulous. Their weapons, impossible, shields don't register. Who designed that dreadnought? We can't target them, they're everywhere. The Vengeance transmitted its first and only communication, a single broadcast received by every ship. You attacked our civilians. This response is measured. No threats. No rage. No declarations of vengeance. Just a statement of fact that chilled even hardened Zaltor commanders. When the last Dominion ship disabled its engines and surrendered, the humans did not fire again. Terran vessels repositioned around the silent battle group, forming a containment ring. Not as conquerors. As judges delivering the first consequence. For the first time in its history, the Dominion understood the cost of calling humanity weak. The Dominion's defeat spread across the galaxy long before Terran Command released any statement. Fragments of distress calls, garbled sensor recordings, and panicked officer logs leaked into every communication network. Species that once mocked humanity replayed the footage in stunned silence. They watched their supposed superiors, creatures bred for war, armored by evolution, feared by dozens of systems, reduced to drifting metal under the steady precision of human engineering. The shock evolved into unease, then into something the Council had never associated with Earth: fear. Across the Dominion's territory, civilian broadcasts scrambled to reinterpret everything they had been taught. Propaganda networks halted their usual glorification cycles, replacing them with emergency briefings as rumors spread. Humans had disabled an entire fleet without mass casualties. Their technology, once dismissed as crude, suddenly appeared beyond anything the Dominion possessed. Citizen analysts speculated about Terran reactors capable of folding space silently, weapons that ignored shields, and cyber warfare that slipped through hardened systems as though they were unguarded doorways. None of it could be confirmed, but none of it could be dismissed anymore. The Council reconvened in chaos. Representatives argued over whether humans had violated interstellar war protocols, but their voices faltered each time Ward entered the chamber. His presence was different now. The quiet diplomat who once blended into the background now carried the weight of undeniable capability. He didn't posture. He didn't gloat. He simply observed, letting the Council struggle with the consequences of its arrogance. Carthage tried to regain control of the narrative, insisting the Dominion fleet had suffered from internal malfunctions. But Council members had viewed too many recordings to accept that excuse. They saw human cruisers slip past Dominion targeting grids with impossible grace. They saw a dreadnought fire a single round that destroyed multiple warships. They saw Dominion officers screaming for evacuation as their systems collapsed. Carthage's authority cracked in real time. While the Council descended into disorder, Terran Command executed the next phase of their containment protocol. It wasn't an attack. It was demonstration through restraint. Human vessels arrived at the Dominion's border worlds, not firing, not invading, simply appearing above strategic locations. They bypassed planetary defense grids without triggering alarms, positioning themselves with unsettling precision. Then they issued a singular message to each planet. Stand down. No harm will come to you. The Dominion's generals struggled to rally their forces, but every mobilization attempt ended the same way, with their war machines inexplicably powered down. Tanks froze mid-roll. Orbital cannons went dark. Communication hubs shut off one by one. Terran cybernetics teams crippled military infrastructures without damaging civilian systems. The efficiency was unnerving. Humanity wasn't conquering, they were disabling, demonstrating that the Dominion's threats held no power. The psychological effect rippled deeper than any physical strike could have achieved. Dominion citizens, conditioned to believe humans were fragile, now whispered about Terran fleets capable of wiping out continents with a thought. Council species debated whether humans had transcended conventional warfare entirely. Some wondered if Earth had concealed an ancient technological lineage. Others feared that humanity's evolution made them uniquely suited for conflict no other species could understand. Terran Command maintained strict rules: no civilian casualties, no occupation, no unnecessary destruction. They operated with focus that unsettled even their allies. Humanity's restraint was more frightening than their aggression. Species accustomed to conquerors couldn't comprehend an enemy that could devastate them yet chose not to. Ward delivered a single address to the Council after reviewing the escalating panic. His tone remained calm, unthreatening, but every representative leaned forward as though gravity itself pulled them toward his words. He clarified that Terran forces would remain in Dominion space only until the danger was neutralized. He emphasized that Earth sought stability, not dominance. But the message beneath his diplomacy was clear: humanity had ended the Dominion's illusion of superiority. As broadcasts spread of Terran ships hovering silently above key Dominion worlds, the entire galaxy felt the shift. The Council understood too late that humans had never been weak. They had been patient, observing quietly until pushed to a threshold they never allowed to be crossed. And now the galaxy waited in breathless uncertainty, aware that humanity's next move would redefine the balance of power forever. The Council chamber felt smaller when the Terran flagship arrived in orbit. Its shadow rolled across the station's exterior panels, blocking entire wings of starlight. No vessel in recorded history matched its scale. It didn't radiate aggressive energy or thunder with weapon signatures. It simply existed with a presence that erased doubt. The Dominion delegates watched the approach in dread, realizing this was not a warship sent to intimidate. It was a reminder that Earth had withheld far more capability than anyone imagined. Shuttles from dozens of species paused their movements, giving the Terran transport a clear path as it descended. When Elias Ward stepped out, the chamber fell silent. He wore no armor, carried no escort, and projected no theatrical dominance. The quiet man the galaxy once overlooked now commanded attention through calm certainty. Every representative felt the shift in weight, as though the balance of the Council had tilted around him. Carthus attempted a display of authority, rising to his full towering height, but his voice faltered before he spoke. Ward approached the Council center with measured steps, his posture steady and unthreatening. Yet every alien present felt something indescribable settling over the room, an understanding that Earth's presence was now a gravitational force the Council could not escape. Ward began without preamble. He presented the facts of the Dominion attack, the Council's dismissal, and the destruction of the Terran outpost. He spoke without embellishment, each word carried by a calm that made the truth undeniable. Representatives who once ignored him now found themselves unable to look away. He continued by detailing how Terran forces had neutralized the Dominion's fleet, restored border stability, and prevented further escalation. There was no boasting, no exaggeration, just clarity. Then he shifted tone, not aggressive, but absolute. Humanity did not seek conflict, he said. But we cannot and will not ignore attacks on our citizens. We expect accountability. We expect fairness. And we expect this Council to treat Earth as it treats every other sovereign world. The chamber remained frozen, waiting for the consequences. Ward outlined humanity's demands with the precision of a treaty already ratified. The Dominion would issue reparations for the destroyed outpost. They would dismantle military positions near Terran space. The Council would rewrite border laws to prevent expansionist exploitation of younger species. A new oversight committee would be established to ensure equal representation, including humans. And finally, the Dominion would deliver a formal admission of responsibility before the Council. Silence held for several long breaths before Carthaz finally spoke. But the thunder of his voice had vanished. Instead, he addressed Ward with measured restraint. The Dominion accepted the terms. Not because of fear of annihilation, though that was present, but because humanity had demonstrated something the Dominion had never expected: power without cruelty, strength without tyranny. They had seen invaders before. Humans were something else entirely. With the Dominion's acceptance, the rest of the Council shifted rapidly. Species that once dismissed humanity now offered cooperation, some even deference. They understood that Earth had no desire to dominate the galaxy, but no species wanted to stand against the power that defeated the Dominion with such calculated precision. Ward didn't linger. He reiterated that Terran fleets would withdraw once reparations were complete. He reminded them that humanity valued stability, not conquest. But his final statement etched itself into the collective memory of the chamber. "You called us weak," he said, his voice steady and quiet. "Your mistake was assuming we needed your recognition to prove otherwise." The room didn't dare respond. When Ward departed, the Council members remained seated, processing the shift that would define future generations. The Dominion's pride had crumbled. The Council's hierarchy had fractured. And humanity, once considered an irrelevant newcomer, had risen to a position none could deny. As the Terran flagship ascended, its engines silent and controlled, an unspoken truth settled over the galaxy. Humans did not demand fear. They demanded respect. And now, at last, they had it. The galaxy would never call humanity weak again.